and we would request Dr. I.B. Vijayalakshmi to present her talk on off-label indication for closing non-ductal shunt lesions with ADO2 device.
Good afternoon, respected chairpersons and dear delegates. It's my pleasure to be here in Hyderabad and present the off-label indications for closing the non-ductal lesions with Amplatzer duct occluder 2. The newer generation of Amplatzer duct occluder 2 is a self-expanding device with two retention discs that has got an articulation in the central plug. And what is important is it doesn't have any polyester material, and as a result, the trackability, maneuverability, and even going through the acute angle is extremely easy. And as a result, it's very user-friendly, and then success rate is very high. Though it was specially designed for the ducts in the neonates, where you have to go through 4 French, 5 French, now it can be used in other places, the off-label, though it is not meant for it. So this is a prospective study where 81 cases of various cases of patients were used in a not ductal position. 77 of them were for the ventricular septal defect, and 1 case of each of coronary AV fistula, aortic right ventricular tunnel, and right common islet pseudoaneurysm, and hemangioendothelium of the left lobe of the liver were all closed with the ADO2. And you can see that how easily we can maneuver. Right from 21 days to 21 years, and the age range from that, and the weight range from 3 kilos to 45 kilos. 12 cases had mid-muscular VST, 65 cases had perimembranous VST, and out of that, 19 had septal aneurysm. 1 patient had fenestrated multiple VSTs, 4 of them were Gerbude defects, and all of them were closed very well with the ADO2. 5 cases had severe pulmonary artery hypertension, 2 of them happened to be post-operative residual shunt, 1 had Down syndrome, 2 patients were infants weighing just 3 kilos, and 5 cases had apical non-compaction where the whole septal as well as the right and the left ventricle, the whole apical portion is totally spongy myocardium and becomes very difficult for any interventionist to put the device. And in 1 patient we put 2 devices. So 2 cases had right coronary cusp prolapse with the trivial AR, and 2 had 2 ADO devices simultaneously in the same sitting. So the immediate complete closure was achieved in only 91%. And remember here that this device doesn't have the polyester material, and as a result, you do not get the immediate closure completely. But on follow-up, all the there was 100% closure. That means the success rate is extremely high. And 4 cases developed transient junctional bradycardia, which was treated with the steroids oral, and only 1 patient of Gerbude defect required temporary pacing for 4 days, and on the 5th day the pacing was taken away. None of the patient developed complete heart block or the junctional rhythm on the follow-up in the next 2 years. And none of the cases developed either tricuspid regurgitation or the aortic regurgitation, because this device has got the retention skirt which is so soft that it doesn't impinge on any of the structure around that. And the fluoroscopic time is as low as 4.2. Remember, whenever we are making an AV loop, we tend to take more time. But here, the shortest period was 4.2 minutes fluoroscopic time. So you can imagine how quickly we can finish the case. So this is a case of post-surgical residual shunt with the severe pulmonary artery pressure. The 90 was the systolic pressure, and already you can see that 6x6 ADO2 is there, and another device is being pulled into that. And now you can see that this is the that is the non-compaction. You can see that the whole of the apical portion is non-compact, and then you can see that it the oblique structural defects are seen, and this oblique VSTs which look like tunnels, very very difficult to close with the regular VST devices. And here you can see that I have put 2 devices and both of them are sitting very nicely. And one care you have to take here in non-compaction is not to give a traction on that, because the myocardium itself is spongy, and on top of that our device is also very soft. When you give a tug, the whole system comes out. So you have to literally release the disc in the RV side, and the middle portion to be released in the tunnel like VST, and the proximal skirt has to be released on the LV side in an appropriate position, and then just release it after taking a check angio from the side port of the Y connector. So here you can, but in this case I have put a pigtail catheter because I had two accesses, because this was a post-operative with pH, and then I wanted to have the PA pressure, and that's the reason we have got the two. In the past, whenever there used to be dextrocardia, the interventricular septum is in a horizontal structure, and then it becomes very difficult to go from the retrograde. So from the lower limb femoral approach, we used to go from the jugular approach. But here you can see that this patient of the dextrocardia, not only it has the horizontal VST, and you can notice that there is a non-compaction of the left ventricle. So whenever there is a non-compaction like a trabecular like thing, really it becomes difficult. But in this patient, I could easily pass the guide wire. You can see that the floppy guide wire, PTCA guide wire, can be used to cross, and then the device can be put. So this device, which is so easy to go through any angle, has made it very easy to close even the VSTs. So this is a patient where there is a fenestrated septal aneurysm. You can see that there are two fenestrations, and with the single device, the retention skirt in this patient, there was a 6x6, so the 12 millimeter retention skirt has closed the whole of the septal aneurysm, and as a result the fenestrated thing is completely closed. So this is very important. Soon after the device is released, or before releasing, you have to withdraw the catheter or the guiding catheter into the aorta, give an injection in the aortic root in the lateral position, so that you check whether the device, the retention skirt, is touching the aortic cusp, because many a times the small VST, the sinus, coronary sinus will be prolapsing, and whether it is impinging on the device is extremely important to know. But see, once in two cases we had, and this is the patient where the cusp was prolapsing, and with every beat the device was being pushed. So this was having an abnormal movement because of the prolapsing cusp was impinging on that. Though this patient we have followed for 2 years, there is no perforation. One has to be careful whenever there is a cusp prolapse and then the cusp is impinging on the device, better not release it. So those patients, even though they have only trivial or mild AR, better not take them for the device closure, because once I knew that this was in having an abnormal position, motion, I just said let me try to retrieve it. Neither could I retrieve from the aortic end nor from the RV end, because the device is nicely snugly fit into the VST, and that's why we must take the precaution not to release it. So if they have got the associated other lesions like AST in this patient, so the ADO2 was used for the VST closure and the regular AST was closed. And so this is only 18 months baby with just 6.5 kilos because of the severe pH, difficulty to thrive, and the feeding difficulty, chest retraction. The child was not gaining weight. And see here, you can see that there is a large mid-muscular VST. So that mid-muscular VST was closed with the 3/6 ADO2. And in the same setting, the patient had aortic, there was a PDA. In fact, the pigtail went into the duct, into the pulmonary artery. There was a spasm, and then we put a 6/6, a biggest ADO2 from the aortic end. The beauty of the ADO2 is either you can go from the venous end or from the aortic end, and both can be done through 4 French catheter. So here you can see that through the 4 French catheter, we are releasing, like how you release the coil from the aortic end. So this is the antegrade thing, and you can see that since there is no retention, there is no polyester material in the retention skirt, the aortic obstruction does not occur. And even in the infant where the aorta is very tiny, you can release this device very nicely. So in the same patient, we have got VST and the PDA closed. So these were the children being sent for surgery in the past, low weight, not gaining weight, in failure, but now no more, we can close them with the ADO2. And here you can see that usually the VST angio is done in the LAO, but here we are doing in the PA view in a cranial angulation, and you can see that from the LV it is going into the RA. So whenever it is going like this, the Garbude defects in the past was sent for surgery, and during surgery they used to have a complete heart block or the other problems. Now no more. The ADO appears to be perfectly tailor made for the Garbude defect. So one retention skirt will be in the LV, the other retention skirt will be in the RA, and the middle lobe will be exactly in the in between the tricuspid and the mitral valve, that ventricular septum, and it fits so perfectly that there will not be any residual thing. So this is a 9-year-old child, asymptomatic girl, referred for a continuous murmur after the school health checkup camp, and echocardiogram revealed that there was a coronary AV fistula. So usually coronary AV fistulas in the past we were closing them either by the coil or by the device, or they went for the surgery. But here you can see that though it appeared like a simple coronary cameral fistula entering into the right ventricle, when we made a AV loop and then put the 6 French sheath to put the device retrograde from the venous end, you can see that I have injected the dye from this, and you can see that there is an acute angle between the right ventricle and the fistulous tract where there is an aneurysmal portion. So it was so difficult to, whatever maneuver we did, the sheath dilator would not enter that acute angle. So what I did was, through the same 6 French sheath, I put a 5 French guiding catheter which easily went. Once the guiding catheter easily goes through that, I put the ADO2, and once the ADO2 is positioned there, and then make a check angio and release the device, and this is the final result. You can see that the coronaries which were not seen earlier because of the coronary steal phenomena, now all the branches are so beautifully seen, and the ADO2 is it appears as if it is perfectly tailor made for this portion. So here you can see that this is the RV retention skirt, and that is in the aneurysmal sac, and the middle portion is exactly in the fistulous tract between the coronary artery and the RV. So this is how we got. And this is the aorto right ventricular tunnel. These are extremely rare condition. This is in a LAO. You can see that from the aorta there is a tract coming into the right ventricle, and the RV is opacified, and then there is an aneurysmal extracardiac portion. So this we made an AV loop, and then after making an AV loop, when I tried to from the retrograde put the regular PDA device 10/8, what happened was there was an acute angulation, and then come what may, I could not maneuver the sheath into the track, and so when I tried to release the device, it was released outside the track, not into the tunnel, and as a result we had to withdraw it. So after withdrawing, there was option either to send the patient for surgery or use something like the ADO2, and see the indication of the ADO2 how it has extended. So this patient fortunately had a single coronary artery. Even the right coronary artery was arising from the left coronary. So this tunnel was devoid of the coronary artery or the branches, and as a result it was very easy. So easily I went from the aortic end through the terminal, crossed the whole tunnel, and then parked the guide wire in the pulmonary artery. Over that put the 5 French guiding catheter, and once the 5 French guiding catheter was then I put the 6/6 ADO2. The retention skirt was released in the RV end, in the RVOT. The rest of it was in the tunnel, and then in the aneurysmal sac the proximal retention skirt was released. So check angio showed the perfect position, and then you can see that within minutes the whole thing is closed. So this ADO2 can be put from the antegrade, and that's how we know in the past it was told we see the light at the end of the tunnel friends, in fact, the ADO2 has brought light to the end of the tunnel, and now you see an ADO2 at the end of the tunnel. This is the tunnel, and that is the ADO2 at the end of the tunnel, and then it is so easy that you don't have to struggle. I remember when I first time closed the aorto left ventricular tunnel, I had taken 4 hours to put the device, and this I did it just in 6 minutes. So that shows that how easy the ADO2 has been, and the extracardiac channel which connects the ascending aorta above the sinotubular junction to the cavity of the either LV or the RV. More often 90% of them are connected to the LV, and I had closed one of them for the first time with the device long back. Now this incidence is 0.05%, and only 16 cases of ARVT have been reported in the world, and this is the first case to be closed with the ADO2. And when I struggled for the aorto left ventricular tunnel with the ADO2, I didn't have to struggle for this case at all. So move on to the next case. This is a 7-year-old child just weighing 14 kgs presented with a blunt injury to the abdomen. The child had fallen from the bullock cart, and then the child had abdomen pain in the lower limb, and the local doctors did not know what it was because there was no wound, and from the medical college they referred because there was a bruit heard on the abdomen. So with this bruit, when the patient came, there was no pulse, no blood pressure in the right lower limb, and the left lower limb pulse was normal. So we did the CT angio. It shows the type 1 right common iliac artery aneurysm near its origin, measuring about 28 by 32 millimeters. And what was strange was it had 2 orifices, one from the common iliac artery and other one was from the tip of the aorta, exactly at the tip, like how you have a Kanyakumari, like that from the tip of the aorta there was one more opening. You can see here that is the opening there, and this makes it difficult for any vascular stent to implant there. And not only that, the artery was hardly 4 millimeter. You can see that such a tiny vessel, and endovascular stenting, one, there is no landing zone, 2, it is very small, and even if you put the smallest endovascular stent, when the child grows, it would have been very difficult. And I'm sure with the endovascular stent, it wouldn't have been possible to close that opening at the tip of the aorta. When we referred to the surgeon, vascular surgeon felt that it is difficult because it's a complex one, and they discussed in the monthly meeting of the vascular surgeons, and they said that they are not able to see the openings, so they are not going to do that. So when I did an angio from the left femoral artery pigtail, you can see that there are 2 openings, and that is one opening, there is another opening. So what I did was next, went through the this is the Judkins right catheter from the left femoral artery, and then you can see that the thermoguide was used so that there is no injury, and very carefully, this is how I entered the aneurysmal sac. Once you enter the aneurysmal sac, coil the thermoguide wire and exchanged with the 5 French guiding catheter. Through the 5 French guiding catheter, I put 3/6 ADO2 and nicely introduced there. So before releasing it, took a check angio, it appeared all right. So the position was all right. But unfortunately, when you are releasing the screw, I felt that there was some obstruction to the aorta. Can you see there? It appears that the proximal retention skirt has come partially towards the left side and it is obstructing. Now at this time, this position, we had 2 options: either retrieve the device and leave it to the surgeon to do whatever he wants to do, or reposition. So what I did was, went through the J guide wire, I put a Ty-Shad balloon 8/40, gently inflated it at 2 atmospheric pressure. You can see that how beautifully the device was gently pushed back into the position. So it was no more obstructing the aorta, and the ADO2 was nicely positioned, and that's the check angio for you. It is nicely positioned, but what is left is there is one more opening here in the center, filling up the aneurysmal sac. So what I did was, again went to this was vertically down, so entering it was very difficult. Pigtail was cut, we made all attempts, it was not possible. So ultimately what I did was, took a Lima catheter, 4 French Lima catheter, and that Lima catheter perfectly went into the sac. You can see that the Lima catheter is at the mouth of the sac, and you can measure the mouth as well as the sac. And once it was measured, so next what we did was, we took 4 French Cook shuttle catheter was introduced into that, and you can see that the shuttle catheter 4 French is so good, even an acute bend, hairpin bend like this can be easily crossed with that, and the shuttle Cook sheath is extremely good, and our ADO2 goes through the this shuttle Cook stent. You can see that one device is horizontal, the next device is coming vertically down, so upside down, and you can see that once the device is in the position and in the LAO position, this is the check angio, and that shows that the mouth of the both the orifices of the aneurysm are closed with 2 devices, and this is how you get the check angio. And there appears to be slight compression of the artery, but the pulse came, and this is how you can see that this is the orifice, and this is the 4 French sheath, and this is one device, this is the second device, and this is the check angio. The pulses came. So from no pulse, the pulse came, 90 pressure was there, and this is how it looked on the duplex Doppler study. The pain abdomen disappeared, the bruit disappeared, and the patient started walking and started taking the food, and you can see that the thrombus occurred in the aneurysm, and the pulse became normal. So the lower limb blood pressure in the left was 120, right was 90, and that was good enough. The claudication had disappeared. So that's how the patient was literally saved, his limb was saved, and the rupture was avoided. So isolated common iliac artery, relatively aneurysm is relatively rare, and it is prevalence is 0.008% to 0.03% based on the autopsy series. Till now, all these aneurysms are either closed by the coil or the endovascular stents in the grown-ups, but in children, none of these aneurysms have been closed with the ADO2. So this is the first case to be closed with the 2. So this is a newborn baby. The mother had a leaking membrane, the child had intrauterine infection, the child was having septicemic shock, and when the child was referred on the 15th day, the echo showed that there was an vegetation on the aortic valve, vegetation on the mitral valve. So 15-day baby having the vegetation on all the 4 valves, and then to our utter surprise, when the transducer was brought on the abdomen to see the IVC, this is what we noticed. Can anyone tell what is this? Anybody has got a clue what it could be? And I was so shocked that the child had so much of flow and even the venous return. So here the child failure, the congestive cardiac failure, I thought it was because of the bacterial endocarditis. In fact, it was worsened by the pump failure because of the AV malformation. So this was an infantile hepatic hemangioendothelioma, extremely rare condition. You can see here that the left lobe of the liver, this is the AP and the PA view. You can see that this is the AV malformation and then draining through the hepatic vein into the IVC, and this hepatic vein, which is having a thing, is almost double the size or 1.5 times the size of the aorta, and from the celiac artery an aberrant artery is going and supplying into the AV. So there were 2 vessels, and then there was one hepatic vein draining back into the IVC. So I discussed with the pediatric surgeon and the interventional radiologist. The pediatric surgeon said that there is no way that they would go in that position, that too in a child who came out of the septicemia and had the bacterial endocarditis of all the 4 valves. The radiologist said that they would puncture directly and inject the alcohol, and I was not ready for that. Such a vascular vessel, you puncture it directly and inject the alcohol, it's going to be dangerous because the whole thing is going to go into the hepatic vein and into the heart. So I said that is not a good idea. So ultimately we did the angiogram, and you can see here that this is the tumor of the lobe, and then that is the drainage. So what we did was, through this 5 French catheter, the 4 French catheter, I entered into that hepatic vein into that, and then so selective angiogram done, and very carefully thermocatheter took the whole circuitous route and went right into the heart, into the tumor, and this is the thermocatheter which was introduced right into the tumor, and through this 4 French shuttle catheter I delivered the ADO2 6x6 ADO2 at this junction where there is a bend, and through this catheter went on injecting the grated foam gel. So sterile foam gel is grated and made into pieces, and mixing with the dye and the saline that was injected into the tumor. So this was done because ADO2 doesn't have the polyester material, and putting a vascular stent was vascular plug was very difficult because we have to 20 to 30 times or 40 times we have to oversize the vascular plug, and to put a vascular plug for this 9 millimeter hepatic vein we had to use at least 12, and that goes into the 7 sheath, and this is a 24-day baby just weighing 3 kilos, and putting the 6 or 7 sheath is almost impossible. So through the 4 French shuttle cook sheath, this is the 6x6 ADO2 that was kept there so that whatever we are injecting will not go into the heart, and then went on injecting the foam gel, and afterwards polyvinyl, that is the PVC particles were injected, and then you can see that this is the one we saw before the device and the injection of the PVC particles, and this is after. That is the device, and the whole tumor mass is thrombosed, and this appears to be like a normal. Compared to the dilated one, this appears to be normal. So with this, in the past, all these children, nearly 58% of them, they developed a pump failure, and nearly those who present within the first month with the pump failure or the heart failure, nearly 70% of them they die. So empirically they were using the steroids without getting good result, and in this patient the steroid was not, it was contraindicated because the child had come out of septicemia and had the vegetation of all the 4 valves. And so the coil closure, when you put the coils, the multiple thing, they keep on opening up. That's what the radiologist told me. You close one, the rest of them, they keep on opening up, the new channels will open up. But you see here, luckily for us, we closed with the device and then injected little by little, so that care was taken that none of the PVC particles, they refluxed into the celiac plexus, and ultimately that was the result. So this is the very cost effective one. So ADO2 is half or 1/3 of the cost of the regular VST. ADO2 compared to the endovascular stent, it is peanuts, the cost is nothing, and especially in the perimembranous or apical VST with the non-compaction, it is excellent, and one should take care that whenever you are using it for whenever the cusp prolapse is there. ADO2 is an excellent device for the closure of the perimembranous, septal aneurysm, multiple Swiss cheese VSTs whenever they are less than 6 millimeter. ADO2 is an excellent for the closure of the anomalous coronary AV fistula or rare conditions like the aorto right ventricular tunnel or the aneurysm of any area, and the success rate is very high. And what is so very important is, in the past, whenever the interventional cardiologist could not do, the difficult cases used to be sent to the surgeons. But today, thanks to the ADO2, and the indications have expanded so much, when the surgeon refuses to refuses to go to that area, we are able to do what the surgeons is unable to do. And this is like a champion in the skating. The surgeon is like this with the head up, they think, but when they refuse, the interventional cardiologist like this, even head down, with the ADO2 we can achieve what the person cannot do with the surgery. Thank you very much for your kind and patient hearing. Thank you.
Thank you, madam, for extensive indications of ADO2. It's very amazing to see the various opportunities for the interventional cardiologist to expand. A couple of questions. The first is, for example, because for example, if we are using the ADO2 device for closing a ventricular septal defect, what is the usual size? What is the size of the VSD which you can take the maximum for the ADO2?
Not more than 6 millimeter, because the central plug is only 6 millimeter. When we take 6 by 6, usually in the perimembranous, we take 6 by 4 or 6 by 5, because the width has to be less, because the septum is very narrow there. So we are not going to take 6 by 6 there. 6 by 6 is taken for the apical. So 6 millimeter is the largest. Beyond that we cannot. So here it is important that we can do it in the smaller children, because 6 millimeter VSD in a small child is much better than an adult. So we are not talking about the grown up children where you can use the other devices, but this is important when the child comes with the retraction, the PA pressure, and then 6 millimeter VSD is very big for a
5
infant
kg
or
child.
the thing. So there we can do that.
Okay. And then, for example, how frequent is the embolization of the device? Because this device is not a very strong device. So there is a perception that compared to an ADO1, ADO2 has got a little higher chances of embolization. What is your experience about this?
See, in my experience, out of this 81, none of the patient had the device embolization. The reason is, if you know the measurement, if you know which size of the device to be taken, and if you have positioned it properly, it doesn't. You saw where it was having abnormal. I wanted to retrieve it, but still I could not do it. So embolization occurs whenever you have underestimated the VST and you have taken the undersized the device, then only you embolize. So I think the embolization in the experienced hand is not a feature. I have not had any embolization.
And along with a guide catheter, for example, we are using the normal Judkins Wright guide catheter. Even if, for example, if we are taking a 4 French, what other delivery systems, so like the catheters or the, what do you suggest?
Yeah, actually ADO2 has its own delivery sheath, but then the cost is more. So we have the guiding catheters in our cath lab, which are used by the adult cardiologists. So same 4 French, 5 French guiding catheters are good enough. But when you need an acute bend, and I showed you where it is like upside down, you have to go deep down from the tip of the aorta. There our guiding catheters do not, because the whole guiding and the whole guiding catheter, they flip back. So there 4 French Cook shuttle sheath is extremely good. It has got a very good, the trackability and then bending, and then it is quite tough. So 4 French shuttle sheath is extremely handy, and that's what I used it for the 45-day-old neonate to close the hepatic vein, and also for the aneurysm at the tip of the aorta. So the 4 French shuttle sheath is extremely handy. And the cost is not much, and then we are going to reuse it.
Reuse it. Any questions from the audience?
Yeah, I think I should appreciate Madam once again, because that
Thank
excellent
you, Jyotsna.
presentation.
Thank you very much.
And all the fascinating cases and excellent way of the management. For the iliac aneurysm for the boy of 14 kgs boy, do you think that putting a balloon across inflation and putting the glue into the aneurysm might have been a help to the patient? Because finally there is a slight
I know,
compromisation.
the glue was one option, but the glue, you never know where you are going to deliver the glue and how it is, because this anatomy was so complex, even the surgeon was perplexed, because where were the mouth, where were the orifices were not clearly made out, and then by chance if your glue comes into the vessel, then you are having difficulty. See, glue is a good option where the anatomy is very clear and you have everything very fine and you can put it, but this was a very complex anatomy, so that was the difficulty.
In fact, this is the similar complication I had seen after a hernia raphe surgery. After a hernia raphe, somebody has inadvertently injured, and then this became a big pseudoaneurysm.
Yeah, those are iatrogenic aneurysms. They are very common, common. In the past, when you used to puncture through and through, in the Seldinger thing, the aneurysms used to be, but now it is very, very rare. The techniques have changed.
Okay. Any question? Thank
Any
you, madam.
question from the audience?
Audience, any questions from the audience? I think predominantly, a lot of people are predominantly coronary work and then
Yeah,
they are going
I
into
know.
this one.
So
So that is the
this,
reason why the
I know when you are more into the coronaries, this appears to be out of pattern. But anyway, thank you very much for your patient hearing, and I appreciate. Thank